Hello, everyone. My name is Xingyi. Thank you so much for tuning in today to my presentation. Our network's January theme is storytelling. I think this is a great opportunity for me to share with you some of my experience using Book Creator with my students to share their voices. For your information, I have presented this topic to conferences such as SEMLP, GA TESOL, Carolina TESOL. If you were there, thank you so much for being here again. Hopefully you learned something new. And if you have not learned about this topic, I'm so happy you're here. Hopefully this is something interesting and relevant to you. I'm a graduate from University of Georgia. I studied for my Master's of Education in teaching English to speakers of other languages. Then I started working at East Point Academy. It's in Columbia, South Carolina, and I've been working there for over 5 years. I'm the Mandarin teacher and multilingual learner program specialist since 2022. And I have the privilege of serving at the SCML Educator Network leadership team and currently at the communication and operation team. Having studied and taught in both China and the US, I like to compare the two distinct educational systems. What I found to be the missing pieces during my second language journey starting from China is very heavily text and grammar based learning. We need to take high stakes text that requires us to do a lot of route memorization, which kind of drains out the fun of learning. At some point, I feel like I'm a machine that only produces correct answers rather than my personal answers. However, I do find my more connections to the language through other modes or other mediums, such as songs, listening to songs, learning the songs, um, reading more books, watching movies. So as I continue to build on that relationship with the English language, I chose my majors to teach the language, and that brought me to the US to continue further the education. It's a really exciting experience for me to study abroad, and I'm witnessing how these pieces that I missed in my education in China starts to flood in, and I was overtaken by these elements, these powerful elements, creativity, engagement, multimodality, amplification, that I thought it would be really wonderful to have that in my own learning. I have my teachers incorporated those. So when I'm a teacher now, I always remind myself to do my best to incorporate these in my own teaching so that my students can experience what I experienced in uh, when I study teaching language here, to develop that authentic ownership of the second language and to consider ourselves as capable learners and storytellers. What I have for planned for us today is first, I'd like to introduce you to 5 pillars of digital literacy that will lay the foundation for me to share the digital storytelling samples. And at last, we will do a Q&A. Even though this is a recorded session, you have ways to continue the discussions with me and together. Have you tried Book Creator before? What's your experience like? When's the last time you told a story digitally? Is it a text message you sent? Is it a social media update? Or is it a story, or is it a video call with your family? According to Alverman, 2012, children growing up today are experiencing a world that is increasingly less dominated by print-centric texts than the world their teachers experienced a mere decade ago. It's still true today, and our students are digital natives. They grew up with the digital devices. It feels imperative for me as teachers to incorporate digital learning in my classroom so I can prepare my students to critically use the tools that they know and learning how to use them well to prepare them for success in the future. This digital framework, in short, DIGCOM framework 3.0, is designed by the Joint Research Center, EU Science Hub. I'd like to expand on how using Book Creator can enhance the learning of digital literacy in 5 aspects or 5 pillars. First, we have information search, evaluation, management. For students to, for example, look for an image on their project, they need to articulate what they need, then browse the information, search, and narrow down the choices. Then they need to evaluate the relevance of the source and the content, as well as manage and organize the content so they go together. Secondly, we have communication and collaboration. As students explore the Book Creator space, teachers can monitor the dialogues happening and also answer some questions that pops up during the exploration. Peers can help each other if one knows more than the other. So just like the physical space where students need to show respect, teachers also need to maintain the etiquette of the digital space. Thirdly, we have content creation, and that's what I think Book Creator is all about. It's for students to learning to harness the skill to develop that narrative in a digital context, to integrate the content through a multimodal presentation. Next, we also have safety, well-being, and responsible use. In Book Creator, it provides teacher control, data encryption, as well as image strict safe search. So students can navigate in a relatively safe space and teachers can have more peace of mind as we use this tool with the students. Lastly, problem identification and solving. Book Creator meets some needs of the students by providing text-to-speech, voice-to-text, translation of transcript, and many other different functions. It demonstrates for students how to look for creative ways to solve problems and not just one way of meaning making. And of course, since this is a digital space and it's always developing, evolving, there are times when I find there are such as the recording does not work at the moment with this certain device. I learned to problem solve using perhaps another device or using my own device phone as a recorder and then later upload So it asks me as the teacher to be the problem solver and also invites the students themselves to think of other ways to other ways of resolving a problem at the moment. So with that background in mind, let's pause with this quote that I love. Alverman and Sanders 2019 said, young people want to have choice in their adventures and the freedom to fail. They need to tinker and play, design and create in order to make sense of the world around them. There's so much truth in what they said, and it speaks to a great truth to me that I didn't have the choice when I learned uh, English as my second language, the freedom to fail. It felt like a luxury to me. So, without further ado, you may be wondering, what does a book creator project look like? It can look like something of a poetry collection. This is called Where I'm From. And I think creativity is a big part of this project. What I think creativity is, it is the freedom to explore artistic expressions. I experienced that immensely from a poetry class I took during my graduate study. We were asked to learn different genres of poems and write them uh, from the lens of the teacher, but also you are considering yourself as a poet. So let's take a look. When I start a project, I like to show examples of how it looks like. So this is a poem uh, of me, where I'm from. I'll play the recording for you.
I'm from a land of pandas, a bouquet of jasmine flowers. I'm from a plate of homemade dumplings, a bowl of chicken broth noodle.
I'll pause here. As you can see, I'm also adding the images that go with what I'm writing. Pandas, the jasmine flowers. Didn't put the dumplings in there or the chicken broth noodle. I kind of select what I wanted and make a collage of the images. And what I think makes it really stands out are the voices in the poems. And here are more from my students. Whenever I have a new student in our program, I always like to invite them to try this beautiful poetic form to give them that uh, starting space and to open them up uh, to ways of expressing meaning that are relevant to themselves, that are very close to themselves. And that's really how I opened up to the form of poetry and found uh, a lot of enjoyment writing and sharing them too. So I'll play this one from Chelsea from Mexico.
I'm from Mexico. I live near plants. I'm from playing soccer. I'm from eating tacos with chicken, lettuce, and white cheese. They are delicious with tortilla.
I like she not only used text and those really nice details, but also she's utilizing other modes of communication, such as the emojis, the different photos. And it's really nice. We have like a little video here to demonstrate how to make a taco. really nice. Even though I don't teach the student anymore, whenever I see this poem, it reminded me of her stories, and knowing that she's continuing that journey. It's really special to me. Okay, moving on. We're moving into engagement. What I think engagement is high motivation with low affective filter. So students are not afraid to make mistakes. When I when when I took the poetry course, I said earlier, we are asked to write drafts of poems and share them with our peers and our teacher as well. I find that to be really helpful to see what I produced in another person's mind and to see their feedbacks is really helpful. And also, these practices allow me to learn that there is no one single answer to how I tell my story. There are many ways to express myself, and there may be a better way, but there's no best way or the only one correct way, if that makes sense. So that practices allowed me to make mistakes and ultimately improved my writing. Here I have the project Building Vocabulary with my students. It's a context-based high-frequency vocabulary search project we do. I will show you first and explain more. We have Ivan here reading a story called Chocolate Me. And I ask him to look for these words from the story. If he found one word, I ask him to read the sentence that has the word in it. So here's the.
You can lick the spoon.
You can lick the spoon. So not only does the student learn to say the word, learn the meaning of the word in the context, but also he's practicing recording. An important skill for presentational speaking, as well as practicing for Access speaking tests. And you may notice this link, which is shared as a link, has the choice of read to me. And if I press on that, it's going to read the words on the book.
Building vocabulary.
It's a nice feature. It's the text-to-speech feature. It's great practice for learners of all proficiency, honestly, to learn to hear the word, to have that sound to text correspondence, especially for younger learners at the beginning level. This is crucial. So it adds a great feature to our project. And here are more from other students. As students are doing these recordings, they sometimes make mistakes, and that's very natural when you read. Sometimes you stumble, sometimes you forgot how to pronounce it and has had to pause a while. I encourage my students to keep going, as what we should do during the testing as well for speaking. so that students are learning how to persevere through those moments. And also they have the choice to redo the recordings that give them that safe space to explore and tinker and play. All right. My next point or example is about multimodality. Meaning can be embodied in multiple modalities. In the poetry class I mentioned before, we are asked to interpret poem by the mode of visual arts. So one assignment for us is to choose a poem and then interpret the meaning of the poem by designing an art. And that was the light bulb moment for me because I'm developing my understanding of the poem, but I can channel that understanding in another mode, a mode that I find really interesting and not often used for learning a language. So that opened my eye to the possibility of the power of multimodality. It really builds the connections and meaning, layering that understanding to help gain a full impression of what you think. So here I have the project I do with my fourth graders called My Favorite. Let's take a look. It's a very simple project. I ask my students, after learning about the topic of favorite food, or actually the topic of food, they are writing their favorite food of breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snack. I have my example here, and here's another from my student. One more. Let's take a listen of this student.
My favorite food for breakfast is a ham Swiss croissant and a pink drink. My favorite lunch is pizza and a soda. My favorite dinner is noodles and sparkling water. My favorite snack is mango with sparkling water.
He's very engaged when he's speaking. He is an active speaker in my class. As easy as it sounds for this project, students took time to make this on Book Creator. I think what they spent most time on is, first of all, of course, to look for the images. It's exciting for them to browse and make their own selections and trying to adjust the image to fit in the squares, learning how to type what they want to say, and also learn how they come together. So their voice with the image, the text, really makes the whole presentation more compelling. And of course, it looks different. Even though I give them the same assignment, they choose their fonts. They learned to change the colors. They learn how to layer the images. So it really surprised me how much time and effort and ownership they took in this one simple project. My last example here for us is about amplification, which is to own one's voice and expand that voice, share the voice. My example here is called Wild Animal Habitats. After we learned that unit, students pick one wild animal to research. Then they compose a presentation, a slide presentation about the animal. Then they go into Book Creator to record their voices. What I think is powerful of Book Creator too is the ability to share the book with others. And coming back to my poetry class, this is the end of that class where we are asked to share the poems we wrote. So I stood in front of an audience and read my poems. It was surprisingly I would say compelling. Even though been I've been in front of audiences before, even though I've practiced public speaking, it feels different when I read the poems. I'm not asked to perform. I'm just sharing what I wrote, and it's personal, and it's in a I'm with people that I know. I feel safe. I feel appreciated. I feel empowered. So going back to Book Creator, once you share the book, there's the great feature of analytics where you can see how many reads the book has, as well as the countries. I cannot think more engaging way for students to learn to know that what they're producing, their work is being read and shared in different parts of the world. And in order to further explain that, I'll open this book up by logging in. So when you log in to Book Creator, and it has the option of teacher and student. For me, it just locked it in. But when you first start, you need to make sure you are the teacher login and then associate with your account. So it pops up of how many reads it has. This is what our project looked like. And I also want to show you how we share a book. So if you have the book here, you can see that this is already published. You can stop publishing it. And then if you decide to publish it again, this is how you do. You can name the title. Choose if you can, who can find this book? Public, so everybody can see it, or privately, only those who have the link can see it. If you allow remixes, turn it off, meaning nobody can use this book that you created. If you turn it on, people can copy and make their own book. So it's more like a template. Now this book has been published. You can copy the link to share, or it has the option of a QR code. So you can scan it and listen and read. It's a really great way to engage the parents, to use it as as a family engagement resource to show what the students are producing, what they're learning in class. Very well. So let me go into our reflection with all that information in mind. What do you feel about these book creator projects? Do they remind you of a project you did or inspire you to start a new one? How would you do it differently? Any problems you foresee? Book Creator also provides a very nice certification course for beginners and all learners alike. I like to check all the updates and learn what's new from Book Creator through the certification course. So I recommend you to start with that if you are new to Book Creator. Now is our Q&A time. If you scan that QR code, it will lead you to a Padlet link that has the space for you to ask questions, and I will monitor it to respond to you as soon as I can. It also is a space for us to share your thoughts, your ideas. And I have the 4 projects that I shared linked on there, so you can click them open and take a closer look. Lastly, thank you so much again for attending my presentation today. It's such a delight to share this work with you, and hopefully this inspires you to start this storytelling project with your student. And also thank you, SCMLE, for this wonderful opportunity to present. If you wish to keep contact, you can email me and we can stay connected. Thank you so much. Bye.